maybe this notation is a little bit weird for you. What does this mean? So I would rather put it the other way around to say for all the equivalent to U, V in LP. So this is sort of some abstract theory. Some of you may not like it at all, but let me just go through it very quickly and tell you where we get with this. So if you do this, now you see if V is equivalent to U, then they have the same norm. Norm P of V is the same as norm. So you have here an infimum over a collection of things which are all the same. So this is equal to this after all. Yeah, so you put it by definition to be like this, but then it turns out to be the same as the norm of UP. So then what you have is that if the norm of class of U is 0, then the class of U is 0, is the 0 class, the class of the 0 function. So I hope there are at least some of you who can follow this. If you don't completely follow it, it's not a tragedy. Bottom line is that this LP mu defined like this, the quotient, so when you group the elements in LP in classes according to that equivalence relation, then you do get a normed vector space. So I'll make the conclusion here. LP mu is a normed vector space. And as I said, we do like to work with non-vector spaces. We like to work with complete non-vector spaces. These are called Banach spaces. Some of them will be Hilbert spaces. So you learn next week from Michael that L2 is a Hilbert space. So you need to have a norm on that. So what I would like you to realize is that we don't like to work with this space. This does not consist of functions, right? So the elements of this straight LP are classes of functions, collections of functions, right? I don't know very well how to work with that. So I like to work with the curly LP space. The problem with that is that it's not a norm space. So what we do typically in this situation is we say that LP is a normed vector space, but then we do work with curly LP. We like to think of this as being a normed vector space. We know it's not. So when we say this one is a normed vector space, in fact, we have in mind the straight version of it. So what we do is we identify in our mind and not on paper, we identify the class of a function with the function itself, with U itself. So we will be working with the curly, so we like to work with this. We like this one, LPU, because it consists of functions. Not of classes, which is not very clear what that is and how you handle them. But you have to keep in mind that here, equality of functions means equality almost everywhere, if you want to think of this as a normed vector space. So it's a subtlety. I don't know if you really, really need to understand it right now. Maybe as you will see it over and over, it will get better for you. But I just want to point out this is not a normed space. We like normed spaces. So in fact, we should be always working with this one. And we do, but with something to keep in mind. Okay, so that was about NP being a normed space, or how to make it into a normed space. And maybe now let's go to something which we can all relate better to. So that's the notion of convergence in LP. So back to this space of functions. And this is something that is extremely useful no matter whether you do pure math or applied math, probability, actuarial, whatever. So let me give you a definition, a sequence Uj in LP is set to converge in LP to some function U. So converges in LP to goes to infinity. And sometimes for convergence in a mu, the book uses the notation, so may use the notation LP limit of Uj equals U. You have to distinguish it from pointwise limit of the Uj is U. So you have to put this LP in front. So if you say LP limit of the Uj is U, it means exactly this. It means limit of the P norm of the difference is 0. Okay. Now, one observation is in place, namely that the limit is unique. This is a remark that if you know that the LP limit of Uj is U and the LP limit of Uj is V, then U equals V, mu almost everywhere. So the limit is unique up to this mu almost everywhere, which we cannot avoid in this setting. So why does this hold? So this follows from the fact that norm u minus v, if you compute this, this is less than or equal to limit j goes to infinity, and I'm going to leave it to you to figure out the exact complete details of this, u minus uj, and then plus the norm v minus uj. But this is 0, so therefore this will be 0. So what I'm using inside of here is, because this inequality, plus something. So I leave the thinking part to you. If you are curious how to do it, you can ask in the break. Or I'm sure some of you can use now already. So you have to use, you have to use the fact that you can interchange limit and norms. That's continuity of this operation. Okay, so once again, this tells us that the LP limit of a sequence is unique up to mu almost everywhere. So up to sub-null sets, mu sub-null sets. Okay, and the other observation is that, maybe I will flip this a bit if I can. The other observation is that you may be more familiar with other types of convergence, namely pointwise convergence. So the other remark that I want to make is that they are unrelated. So, or maybe I'll make it on the other board because I need to add more details. Somewhat unrelated. So my remark is this, that if you have a sequence Uj converging to U as j goes to infinity. So this is for all x and x, or for mu almost every x and x, then this does not imply that the sequence Uj will converge to U in LP sense. Then it does not follow that LP, let's make it orange, it does not follow that LP limit of Uj is U. And if you are curious for a counter example, I want you to see in addition, you know that there exists a function g in LP such that absolute value ujx less than or equal to g of x, again for all x in x, or for mu almost every x in x. So if you know that these uj functions are dominated by the same function g, which is in LP, then it does follow that the sequence uj converges in LP to U. LP limit of uj is equal to U. Yeah, so let's read together. What I'm saying in the first part of the remark is that pointwise convergence or mu almost everywhere convergence does not imply convergence in LP, but if I have pointwise convergence and I know that each of these functions uj are pointwise dominated by an NP function g, all of them by the same, then I do have convergence in LP. So why is that true? Let's see. I would have liked to put it down there, but I don't have the space, so maybe I will just erase this. Where do I not see the eraser? In the sink. Nice. There is the reason for which people didn't take it out, it's all wet. So let me erase this. So let me write down here proof of the above statement. So what I want to say is the following. I'm writing down some things that we have written down before. So I have uj minus u in enum is less than or equal to absolute value uj plus absolute value u to the power e. So this is triangle inequality for the absolute value. So forget the p on top. Absolute value of a sum or a difference is less than or equal than the sum of absolute values, and then you raise that to the p. Now uj and u itself. So now let's look at that relation over there. So if uj is dominated by g, since uj of x converges to u of x, then u itself is dominated by g as well. So then I get that this is less than or equal to 2 times absolute value g of x raised to the power p. So this will be this. Yes? And now, since g is in LP, when you raise it to the power p, will be integrable. So this is L1 of mu. Question you have? Is it clear? All right. But we know that absolute value uj minus u to the power p, if you wish, converges to 0 pointwise, or mu almost everywhere, right? Depending on what you started with, because the statement says if uj converges to u pointwise, so for all x, or for mu almost every x. So now I have a sequence which converges pointwise or almost everywhere to 0, and I know that it is dominated by an integrable function. Then I can conclude that integral converges to the integral, right? So I can conclude that. So if I have this integral converging to 0, that gives precisely, so conclude means implies, norm u minus uj p goes to 0 as j goes to infinity. Can you give me a name